Welcome to our school board meeting. If you'll please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to our Monday, July 11th school board meeting. I just want to remind everyone there will be 2 opportunities for you to address the board this evening if you so wish. The first will be in a few minutes where you can address us in regards to anything that will be taking place in regards to our action items. And the second opportunity will be at the end of our meeting where you'll be able to comment on anything you wish the board to hear during the public comments portion of the meeting. To address the board, we ask that you please sign up at the sign-up sheets located at the back table. Only those that have filled out all the required information will be called up to speak. So with that, we'll move to our agenda approval, deletions, additions. Dr. Varacco.
Thank you, Mrs. Seuss. You do have an agenda before you. I seek approval of the original agenda.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion by Mrs. Kelly.
Second.
Second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Hang on. I just looked at what's underneath my thing, and there are a couple revisions to the personnel packet, including the new teacher hire sheet, and then there's also an addition to Dr. Bracey's professional leave requests for teachers for this summer. And so my agenda wasn't highlighted, but the other pieces are. So there are a couple amendments you should check really quick before you vote.
Is there an amendment for Mrs. Gomez? Okay.
Move to approve the agendas as amended.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Ms. Kelly, is there any correspondence?
Nothing to report on this evening.
Thank you. We'll move right into liaison committee updates. Mr. Marshall.
No activity at this point.
Thank you. Mrs. Kelly.
Cherville redevelopment, I don't have anything to comment on tonight. Cherville Parks, we're anxiously awaiting our splash pad construction to conclude. So stay tuned. That's all.
Thank you. Dr. Medlin.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Dr. Malco.
For Lake Central Education Foundation, they are meeting tonight, and they are looking forward to doing a fundraiser in February, so hopefully you'll be wanting to join us. And don't forget, we'll be having the 5K race in November, and I think that falls so cross-country guys can compete, although I don't know. But maybe we'll figure it out. But anyway, we had a lot of students that joined us last year, and it was a lot of fun. So that 5K is in November, the first Saturday in November. Want me to go ahead with Dyer Parks?
Sure.
Okay, Dyer Parks are just now planning their splash pad. So they have run into some issues. I believe their parks director has been reassigned and has taken a different job. So, but they are working on it, and they are also putting in a sidewalk which somehow connects into Protzman and the use of the running track by the cross-country team, and there's a little bit of difference of opinion on how that should be, and I'm not sure what that means other than I'm just sharing it with you guys so you can figure it out. But Mr. Ledyard, you were made aware of a safety issue at the door of Protzman, door L, I believe, at Protzman, and I heard that you already have a stop sign put in there for us.
Yes.
Awesome. Really appreciate that you're so quick on that, Bill. It's very important. Thank you. And that's it then.
All right, and I have nothing for the St. John Redevelopment Commission. And for Dollars for Scholars, we had our first homecoming meeting, and we're gearing and prepping and getting ready. So if you'd like to join the meeting, please reach out to the committee. Please reach out to me, and I'll get you on that list. So we'll move on to our official school board business topics consent agenda. Dr. Varacco.
Thank you again. Seek board approval for the minutes from our special meeting on June 20th, our regular meeting on June 20th, and our executive session on June 20th, 2022.
Move to approve.
Also need you to approve the claims and payroll expenditures.
Added, move to approve.
Thank you, sir.
We have a motion by Mr. Marshall,
Second.
second by Ms. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. There are no public comments regarding action items, so with that, we'll move right into our official school board business topics. Regular agenda, Dr. Veraco.
Thank you. We're going to recognize the success of our boys and girls track teams this year. I'd like to invite Mr. Kwasny, our business teacher and boys head track coach, down, as well as Mr. Smolinski, high school assistant principal, to help with this process.
Very good.
Okay.
Well, thank you first and foremost to the board for inviting us here this evening to acknowledge and recognize our athletes that are here. We had a pretty successful campaign this spring. We were co-conference champions with Maryville. We had an undefeated regular season leading up into the postseason. We were runner-ups at the sectional at Crown Point to Maryville. And then we finished third in the regional. But we were pretty proud to say that we had 12 boys that qualified for the state track meet down in IU Bloomington. We were in 9 events that we represented the school, and we didn't do as well as we had hoped, and we had an injury to one of our athletes that was here, Cameron Getters, who we'll acknowledge here in a moment, in his final event, or it was in the finals of the 100-meter dash. So we didn't get to give our best effort, but the best thing is that he's coming back for a senior year, so I'm proud of that. But to acknowledge our athletes, or at least acknowledge maybe they're in attendance or they're watching online. Cameron, if you could come down. Cameron Getters. Cameron was on our 4x100 relay team that qualified, our 4x400 relay team, and he was an individual qualifier in the 100 and 200-meter dashes, where he finished 9th in both. We're looking forward to some big things from Cameron for his senior year, and I know a lot of people around the area are not. And what he was able to accomplish this spring, it was a phenomenal thing to watch. Cameron, here's your certificate. Mateo, if you can come down.
Great job.
Cameron, can you stay there so we can get a photo?
Yeah, and Mateo was, he ran our leadoff leg for the 4x100-meter dash, and he was a phenomenal anchor to that team as far as the senior leadership that he brought, and I think the poise that he also brought to the boys. We had some new guys to the sport. One of our other athletes, Alex Wada, was a senior first-year runner for us, and Mateo was certainly, I think, that calmness in the wake of some of those more stressful meets. So it was great to have Mateo be a part of that team. Not present tonight, but also state qualifiers. No. Not present, but Alex Wada was who I had just mentioned before. Alex came out as a senior, first-year runner for us. He was on the 4x100 relay team. He was on the 4x400 relay team, and he also qualified in the 100 and the 200-meter dash. And it was just like watching the dynamic duo between he and Cameron as great teammates together, kind of just duking it out at each meet, going 1 and 2 pretty much for the entire season, finishing first and second. Our success. Josh Berry was a sophomore that qualified in the long jump and in the 400-meter dash independently, and then he was also a member of our 4x400 relay team. Not present, but also members of our 4x100-meter relay is Norris Toussaint, Alex Wada, like we said, and Julian Page, who was also a second-year runner for us, not first, second-year runner, that he stepped in a pretty bright stage after Cameron was injured in that 100 final to have his eyes pop and then say, I'm ready to go. So we had, like I said, a pretty successful campaign, a pretty successful season, and happy to have these guys honored here tonight. So thank you for
Great job.
So Coach Frederick couldn't be here for the girls' track and field, so I'll fill in and just kind of go through our successes for the girls on the state side, and I apologize if I mess up anyone's name, but if you could come down, Riley Kleitch in the 100-meter dash and the long jump. Anastasia Thompson in the 100-meter hurdles. And, a relay, third place finish at the state 4x100 meter relay. We got Christian DeLosa. Anastasia Thompson. Callie Cronky. Riley Kleitch. Amelia Hecht. Amelia. Abigail Reddick. Sophia Palmer. Jade Smedley. We also have Ann Carmichael in the 300-meter hurdle. She took 9th place. Yeah, and then I'll read all the names for the 4x400 meter relay. We have Kai DeLosa, Anastasia Thompson, Ann Carmichael, Anastasia Rosa, Una Samukovic, Callie Cronky, Amelia Hecht, and Noelle DeLosa.
She's with her dad, so.
Here's Anastasia's. And guys? Yeah. Yeah. And I can keep my foot on those. Yeah. Carrots.
Are all you girls coming back next year, or has anybody seen
Oh,
her?
here's mine. Sorry.
Just one senior? You're the senior.
We're not done. They did very well. We have Essence Johnson in the high jump. I don't think she's here. Sarah Schoonmaker, our state runner-up in discus. Gwen Schilling, our third place in pole vault. Congratulations, ladies.
I think the boss is organizing.
Could we have the parents and relatives, friends of these athletes stand and be recognized at this time? Thank you for supporting your children, and thank you for coming out tonight. We are going to continue with the business portion of our meeting. If you want to stay, you're welcome to. If you have other things to get onto, we understand. Thank you. Okay, for my second item this evening, I just wanted to make the board aware that we will be hosting a McKinney, Vento, and Foster student workshop for Northwest Indiana on August 4th here in the LGI. As the McKinney, Vento liaison for the school corporation, I serve on a committee of regional liaisons. The main purpose of our workshop is to refamiliarize ourselves, because it's been 3 or 4 years since we've had a training. Our building level folks, support staff, registrars, the first people who see folks when they come to register, when they may not have the appropriate paperwork, when they are in a situation where they are in crisis. And so we want to talk through the appropriate way to register students and families and what to require of them, and what to work with those families to register them first, and then work to get the rest of those documents in place as time goes by. The morning is going to be mainly for support staff, McKinney Vento 101, and the title of our program is Serving Students and Families in Transition. And so we try to get away from using the word homeless as much as we can. It's become a bit of a pejorative word, although when you don't have regular place to stay every night, it is an appropriate word to use. So it's not like a taboo word, but we just try to talk about how do we serve students, and how do we make sure that all students have the same academic opportunity regardless of where they're staying. And so we're going to talk about some transportation issues. We're going to talk about obligations of schools, and then in the afternoon, there's going to be a section on trauma and the brain, and that's going to be delivered by a member of the Indiana Department of Education. And then after noon, we'll have something that's probably more appropriate for administrators, building level folks, and then again, the McKinney Vento liaisons to talk about attendance and truancy issues related to homelessness. And so we're hosting that, so we're hoping that we can get a really high percentage of our folks involved, at least for part of the workshop. And so I just wanted the board to be aware of it. I'm glad that we get to host it. I think it helps us in terms of travel, and I think that the agenda should be strong and worthy of people's time. So if you want to stop by anytime that day to listen in, you're certainly welcome to, and then we'll report back out after the workshop how it went. And so that would be the second meeting in August. And I am going to now move on to Mrs. Mucha's personnel recommendations. So I ask the board to approve the personnel recommendations in their entirety.
So moved.
We have a motion by Dr. Malco,
Second?
second by Ms. Kelly. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to ask Mr. Gindel, Tom Gindel, 37 years at the Transportation Department, to stand up and be recognized. Tom? Tom is not leaving today, but he is, his days are limited, and so since he won't be around in May, the next time we get to call people out and say thank you for, in his case, keeping our buses safe and on the road, and going above and beyond to do things after hours when a bus gets stranded or whatever. Tom will have big shoes to fill, but we did want to give him a little recognition in light of all he's done for us. So thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Could I say something about Tom also? I mean, he's been here 37 years. Wow, that's quite a history. And if you are familiar at all with the buses and the way transportation runs, you know that that's one heck of a responsibility to keep those buses in good shape. So they have to be plugged in at night when they were diesels. That's a thing of the past, I guess, now. You know, that they have to have the buses ready, whether it's rain, snow, ice, flooding conditions. I remember sometimes the buses had to come out and take some of our children home because we were flooded. You know, Tom, I know he and his guys would go out, as Larry mentioned, to repair broken down buses right there on the roads or to replace them. And I know that mechanics also had to serve some time as a bus driver because there was a shortage of bus drivers. State police inspections, all those things that you have to go through. And Tom, it's just a great responsibility, and you've done a wonderful job. We always knew we could depend on you in the transportation department, and we were never a doubt about that. So we were afraid we wouldn't see you again in May, so thanks for coming out tonight, and congratulations. You're welcome. And would you like to introduce your friends with you?
This is my wife Ruth.
Good job, Ruth.
And my sister Jean.
Hey. Nurse Jean.
And if you remember, Jean was one of our nurses for many, many years. Yeah, 30 years, yeah. And Ruth, you've done a good job keeping them going, so thank you again.
I do miss you guys once in a while.
Think about us.
I do,
And we're just doing our meeting now. I mean, if you want to go ahead and slip out, feel free. It's up to you. If you have more important things to do.
Thank you. We'll move on to our Director of Primary Education, Dr. Bracy.
Good evening. I am coming before you tonight seeking your approval for the professional leave requests you have received in your packets.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second?
second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. I also would like to share with you, each year we have to submit several applications for different grants, and recently we have submitted the applications for our early intervention grant and for our high ability grant. And I just wanted to let you know what we're focusing on in those areas, and we're just awaiting approval. So for our high ability grant, we are focusing on differentiated curriculum and instruction and also professional development, and our goal is to strengthen our current curriculum and or identify curriculum that will be used to differentiate within the high ability classroom, because sometimes we think that students are high ability and they're all at the same level, and they're not. So we want to make sure we're pushing them even in those classes. Also, our professional development goal focuses on improving the effectiveness of our high ability program by addressing the social, academic, and emotional needs of the students. And then our second grant, our early intervention grant, was also submitted, and that grant focuses on the early interventions for students in grades K1 and 2, and our schools are working on identifying the interventions that align with the science of reading, and some of those will include decoding, sight words, phonics, phonemic awareness. We've talked about that before, and so we are working on focusing on those goals for that grant, and I will keep you all posted.
Thank you.
So I had a question then on the, I noticed you're doing a lot of training with the Wilson, with classroom
Yes.
teachers.
Yes.
So is that part of the early intervention grant then, to have that alternate
This-
approach to
the-
reading?
The grant from 2021, or 21-22, a lot of our reading interventionists had purchased more Wilson products. So, yes, and then we're working with the principals to purchase products for next year.
Are they having success with the Wilson program?
Yes, they are, but they really just purchased those products closer to the end of the school year, so we'll see how it goes this year.
Okay.
But we are working on the science of reading, absolutely.
Good move on that, I think.
Yes,
It
yes.
seems to be a very effective program from my
Yes.
experience, so, good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is our Director of Secondary Education, Mrs. Castaneda.
Thank you. For my first item, I am seeking your approval for the professional leave request that you received in your packet.
So moved.
We have a motion by Dr. Malco,
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. And for my second item, I am seeking your approval for the field trip request.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Mrs. Kelly. And I will second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving right along to our Director of Student Services, Mrs. Gramala.
My only item tonight is to seek your approval for the revised professional leave request that were at your station tonight.
Move to approve the professional leave request as revised.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin,
Second?
second by Mrs. Kelly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Mr. Ledgert, our Director of Facilities.
Thank you, Mrs. Seuss. Tonight I have 3 items, just updates. The first one is the Bibbage project. Last week we received the full state plan release from the state of Indiana for the entire project. And Wednesday, we will be bidding the remainder of the project here at the central office at 10 a.m. Grimmer project, going right along. The big push, I guess we'll call this phase, we got phase 1 kind of this summer, phase 2 during the school year, and phase 3 next summer. But the big push for phase 1 this summer was to get the 11 classrooms that are going to be affected complete, as well as the hallways outside those 11 classrooms. And we've got 6 of them totally roughed in, completely done. And the other 5, the only thing left is pipe insulation, which started today, which should be done Wednesday. And the good news is we finally got our lights. They came in the last week. We ordered those clear back in April, and they finally came in. And we're waiting on ceiling grid, and I'm told that's supposed to be here Wednesday. So if that comes, we should start putting rooms back together as of Wednesday. And I'm hoping the week of the 25th, or the first week of August, we'll start cleaning those rooms. So as long as the grid comes in Wednesday, we're in great shape. We got full inspections for all the above ceiling work on Friday from the town of Cherville. So as long as the grid comes in Wednesday, we're right on schedule. So that's all good news with that. Any questions on those 2 items?
You say those room updates are happening at Grimmer, part of the HVAC project?
Well, there's 11 rooms that have to be affected with the entire HVAC update.
Okay.
That's, they have like univents in them, so we have to take those out and everything.
Right. Oh, those old univents.
Yeah, so,
Yeah. And then this happened to occur to me the other day, of course, with all this stuff going on at the schools. And I know we talked for several years about a safe entrance into Clark. Do you know where the status is with that?
Well, that wasn't on the agenda for this summer. It's complicated because the layout
I
of
know.
the existing layout of Clark, we've kind of kicked around almost a little, I'll almost call it like a security office right at the door, but there's some design issues that we gotta work through with that.
Well, the few times I've been over there, it seems like it is pretty well controlled. They have to
They
buzz
have
in.
a great view.
And they,
Yes.
and if the kids are in the hallway, they just don't let you in. So
Yeah.
it seems to be sufficient at this time, but I just hadn't heard about it and wanted to ask about that, so. All right, thanks, Bill.
Thank you. Final update is just the summer project, which I've left at your stations. We're six weeks into the 10-week summer. We've got 4 to go. We're about 68% completed with all the projects. You see a lot more gray on there this time around. We've completed a lot of major projects since my last visit. All of our paving is done with the exception of Clark. We will be paving the entry and the exit roads at Clark. That's all milled last week. We'll start paving that tomorrow, and weather permitting, we'll be done with that Thursday. So that will finish up all the paving. All the schools are striped with the exception of Clark, because we won't do that till we're done paving, as well as transportation, because they have their state inspections today and yesterday and tomorrow, so we'll wait till that's done and we'll start that. Also, speaking of transportation and Mr. Gindle's retirement, we finished the fuel tank project last week. We are gonna fill the tanks tomorrow and Wednesday. They have to come back out to do the testing, the above ground pipe testing, all the underground pipe tests passed. So once the testing's done this week, we'll probably start filling the buses out of the above ground tanks next week, which is a couple weeks ahead of schedule. So we're real excited about that. And then, as you can see, the projects continue, and I'll give you an update at the next board meeting.
Cool.
Any questions?
You know,
Thank you.
Oh, wait, Mr. Ledyard, you know, the comment that I made that came up at the Dyer Parks Board meeting about the walkway, the runway, the sidewalk, I hate to know that information and not follow through on it, so I guess you're the man that I would say, could you call over and talk to Mr. Dave Hine and see what all that is about? He's the,
Yeah, I know Dave, but
oh,
I
you
mean,
Dave.
what? That's they're not doing anything on our property.
Oh, so it's their property and we run cross-country on it?
Correct. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
no, we don't, yeah, that's not our property.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to our Director of Business Services, Mr. James.
Good evening. The first thing on my agenda is to go over our quarterly financials. And so you'll have two big sheets in front of you at your workstation. And so since it's the end of June, well now July, but this is also the end of our fiscal year. So it's an important date. And so we're going to go over two spreadsheets here kind of briefly. The first one, if you look in the top left-hand corner, it says fiscal year cash flow for the education fund. And so there we started July 1 with about, if you look in the top left-hand corner, about $6.6 million in the education fund. And then if you jump down to the bottom right-hand corner, where everyone usually does, our expenditures exceeded our revenues by about a little over $500,000 this year. That was not unintended. As we know, we were able to give a nice salary increase to our staff this past year, and so we knew we were going to get into our reserves here a little bit. But as you can see from the top, all this data is accurate through June and is our real numbers. And so we came in under our advertised budget, and we operated well. There really hasn't been too many odd things here in the education fund because, again, most of this is salaries and benefits, where there's not too many unknowns what's going to occur, and so it is pretty stable. And so, do you have any questions about this fund before I move on to the next sheet? Okay, so the next sheet is a combination of all of our operating funds. And when I say that, after the laws changed in 2019, there's a lot more moving money back and forth between our education fund and our operations fund. So really to get a more accurate reflection of how the district is operating, I combine our education fund, our operations fund, our referendum money, and our rainy day fund all together, because those four funds together really is what S&P looks at for our bond rating, what our reserves are, and how we're operating. And again, when you combine those four funds together, and again, we jump to the bottom right-hand corner, for this fiscal period of July through June, we operated approximately $1.7 million to the good. That is 100% accurate, but it doesn't necessarily tell the whole story because, yes, this is a snapshot of 12 months, but when we gave raises to our teaching staff, those contracts go September through August. Right. So July and August on this sheet are a little less more expenditures than what July and August will be for this upcoming year. So if you're looking at it a pure school year basis, we will have our expenditures more. And in that July column, the first one there, for example, with higher salaries means, if you look in the expenditures where it shows the ongoing contributions to our 401A and VEBA, last July, that was about a $1.4 million expenditure. Given that that is a percentage of salaries, when the salaries go up, that also goes up. So for July of this year, that is going up a couple $100,000 to probably about 1.7, 1.8. So yes, the 1.7 million is a good number, but in reality, when we look at things for a more school year, it's slightly lower than that. We continue to update this every month, and I will be starting a new sheet for this new 22-23 year, starting at the end of about a month from now. So, any questions on this? This is a little bit more reflective of things that we are susceptible to with, we talk about transportation. Well, back a year ago, gas wasn't $4.59, let alone $5.49. We have insurance costs increase. Bill's talked about how the cost of summer projects have been and how they've related to what we were planning last August. You saw from his sheet that we still plowed forward and did so many different projects that year, even though they may have ended up costing more than we originally established. So since those costs are ongoing now, those will be more reflective in expenditures in July and August, because those bills are just coming in now. So we have lots of things we're always watching, and just to make sure we don't overspend and that we maintain a healthy balance. If you recall, in May, S&P increased our bond rating because they like the way we're operating and they like those cash reserves. So we make it a point to make sure we don't get ourselves into a financial situation. So do you have any questions? I know it's a lot of numbers in small print here while we're sitting here. So anything jump out at you?
It's appreciated, I know, very much. That's $1,726,554.
Yeah.
Once you subtract the outstanding that's forthcoming, what do you have an estimate as to what your balance might be?
Well, I wouldn't say it's outstanding, because you also have some outstanding revenue as well.
Oh.
We paid, well, no, I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
There's a lot of expenditures we might make in May, in June, in preparation for the upcoming school year, but our revenue is more consistent. So I would say that if I looked at it more of a true, knowing the higher expenditures that we have in July and August this year on the education side, we probably operated more in about a 1.3, 1.4 is more of a true number. But this is our actual cash in, cash out. We pay bills timely. We don't hold anything just to make the numbers look good. I'm not about that. So it is pretty straightforward.
Right. So. And you said the 4 accounts for rainy day, the education. It says right up here.
Operations, and then our referendum operating fund.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't read that.
Oh, that's okay. No, it's small, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, my second item is to seek your approval to transfer our portion of our textbook rental fees. We do this twice a year. When a family pays their textbook fees, all that money gets received into our textbook rental fund, but a handful of those costs for general fees like agendas and IDs and technology stuff, those expenditures get paid out of our education fund. And so in order to follow the money, we take the revenue that came in that is associated with those fees, and for January through June, $89,361.78 of general fees were collected. So I'm requesting transfer to move that money from the textbook rental fund to the education fund to follow the appropriate expenditures.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Marshall.
Second?
Second by Ms. Kelly. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion passes.
Thank you. And I seek your approval for the 2022-23 course fees for all 3 developmental levels that were included in your course packet, board packet.
I had a question and I forgot to send it to you. I was curious as to why there was, I think it was a $10 fee for oh, the gentleman that does math, Khan Academy. I was curious as to why there was a charge for Khan Academy.
So Khan Academy is providing preparatory services for the PSAT and SAT, which is now the state-required test for Indiana. And so there's a district license where the teachers can actually look at the data from their classes. And so that $10 fee covers that. And in addition to that, they get practice, they get other things that we use in math classes, instructional supplements. And so we're trying it out this year to see how it goes now.
So you're adding something, okay, as a tool for teachers. Okay, thank you.
All right, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Motion by Mrs. Kelly,
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, thank you.
Thank you. My next item is to seek your approval for the meal charging policy for our school lunch and breakfast program that was included in your board packet.
Move to approve the meal charging policy.
We have a motion by Dr. Medlin, and I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Motion passes, thank you.
Thank you. My next item is to seek your approval for the 22-23 meal prices for breakfast and lunch that were also included in your board packet.
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Malco,
Second.
second by Dr. Medlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
And my last item is to seek your approval for the donation that was listed in your board packet.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Ms. Kelly,
Second.
second by Mr. Marshall. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So there are no public comments, so we'll move right into board comments and consideration of future agenda items. Mr. Marshall?
I failed to ask Dr. Bracy a question. If I could revisit your area. In terms, and this is a generalization, I'm not asking for specific numbers. In terms of high ability and early intervention grants, how are they being made available in light of the economic conditions that we're facing with the inflation, et cetera, et cetera? Are they still out there for us to apply for?
Yes, so the high ability grants, I don't have the exact number for that.
No, that's okay.
But the early intervention grant, you receive $10.01 per K through 2 student. So it just depends on how many students we have in those grade levels.
Okay, well, I guess my question was more in terms of availability. I mean, they're not curtailing them or cutting them short or anything, they're out there.
Correct, they are
Good.
still out there.
That's good to hear.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Howard, I can add that both of those grants are state grants,
Okay,
and so those grants are built into the biannual budget
Ah.
of the General Assembly.
for Indiana per se.
That is correct. They have nothing
Great.
to do with the feds, so.
That answers my question then. Yeah,
Now, there could be years that if the state was having money issues, they
Yeah.
cut things in the middle of the biennium, but there's no signs of that, and so yes, those grants are still available for not only this current year that we just finished, but for this upcoming year.
So-
And then hopefully come next spring, when they're doing the next budget, they will continue as well.
you got it. Very good, thank you both.
Anything else?
That's all.
All right.
Thank you.
Mrs. Kelly?
No comments this evening.
Dr. Medlin?
No comment, thank you.
Dr. Malco?
Of course. No, I'm just thinking, it seems like everything is going well, you're getting organized, you're ready to get schools up and running, and the children will be here before we know it. Not very, well, yeah, it's like coming really fast. Buildings are looking nice, love to walk in and see those wax floors. I hope you're taking some time to rest, all of you, because I know it's been a brutal couple of years, and I'm looking forward to it to being a real smooth sailing year, and it's going to be good. Yes. So that's all.
And I have nothing. So with that, we'll move on to our,
Wait. We had our athletic director, or Mr. Hall. Didn't he receive an award?
I'm sorry, I don't know the answer.
Mr. Hall, didn't he receive a recognition by the State Association for his work. Did you, Mr. Hall, Chris Hall?
Chris Hall.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I saw something too. I can't speak directly to it, though.
Maybe you could find that out for us. Thank you.
So we'll move on to our board calendar of future activities. Dr. Veraco.
Thank you. We have another 3-week break before we reconvene. That'll be on August 1st here. And I also want to get it on your schedule. August 2nd is our new teacher induction, and we'll be getting you the schedule for that. But if you want to come out in the morning when we have breakfast for all of our new teachers, we do introduce all of our administrators. We don't expect them to remember all the names, but we want them to see some faces. And you're certainly welcome to join us at that gathering. That's at breakfast on
Is it usually
August
about
2nd.
8 a.m.?
8 a.m.
Thank you.
And then, is there a second board meeting in August? Would that be the 15th? Okay.
Yes, there are 2 board meetings in August. All right, with that, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion by Ms. Kelly, a second?
Second.
By Dr. Malco. All in favor?
Aye.